I'm Chris Unger from the Blacktop Depot. I'm sitting here with J.D. Cameron, the owner of the Indian that we are auctioning this Saturday at 1 o'clock. And J.D.'s here to tell you the connection between the Steve McQueen business and this motorcycle. And I'd like to introduce you to Doug.
Hi there. I was fortunate enough to be a friend of Steve McQueen's for many years. Did work for him, hung out with him, befriended him. It was a joy to know him. And you know, Steve pretty much bought anything he wanted. We go car hunting, motorcycle hunting, truck hunting. He wanted it, he bought it. Price didn't matter. But there's one thing he couldn't buy, my Indian. So one day we're sitting around the table drinking and we decide, I say, Steve, why don't I just build you one just like it? Oh, you could do that? Yeah. It's gonna look beat up, wore out, tired? Oh sure, he'll be beat up. So we made a deal, shook hands, $1,650. He's gonna get this Indian motorcycle from me. So he leaves that night, I go out in the garage, I've got piled in and stuff, and we start picking out the pieces. Picked out everything the same as old white is, right to the handlebars, the different colored Harley grips. The only thing we didn't change was he wanted a different sissy bar, he wanted a taller bar, and a different rear fender. Seems like anything I had, he had to have. Monitor top refrigerators, I sold him 10 of those. I had one, he wanted 10.
53 Chevy pickups.
Yeah, I had a 48 Chevy pickup, so he wanted more, so I got him about 22 pickups from 48 to 38. In fact, I bought him his favorite truck, the green one with the big tall camper shell on it.
Tell me about it. You've told me this before, and I want you to tell the story about going to the bars with him, and he would be all bearded up, and he just liked to fight. And
he'd come down to Santa Ana. All the people around my shop knew who he was, but they were strict orders, not bugging or ask for an autograph. So he'd come down and he drove his Mercedes that looked like a Rambler, brown, four-door, ugly.
Tell me about the change in socks.
Oh yeah.
That's a good one.
He'd never wear his socks twice. He'd change them twice a day, and he had a whole back seat full of socks. I think half my shop got supplied by socks from him. The rest of the back seat was taken up with old Milwaukee six-pack cartons. He drank old Milwaukee, that's the only kind of beer he wanted. But we'd go to the bars downtown and nobody recognized him. He had his blue eyes sticking out, and if he talked, they'd know who he was. But if we had to wait in line, that changed the matter. He'd go, get impatient, walk up to the whoever was in charge of the major D at the time and say, remember me, Steve McQueen, the Blob? And of course that'd get us right in the door and get the girls right over to the table. But the only thing he couldn't get was my motorcycle. I think that's the only thing in his whole life he couldn't buy. So I'm proud to have said that I built him that old white, they call it the Blob. It's in some museum now.
In Oklahoma. It sat in the Imperial Palace for years, and then when the Imperial Palace sold it, it was sold to a museum in Oklahoma.
If you go to Steve McQueen,
Iowa. In Iowa. Well, Doug, I appreciate you sharing that with us, and it'll certainly answer a lot of questions for the people that are presently on proxy bid and checking out our catalog for this weekend. Again,
there's been a few people that tried to say they built that bike. I want to.
That they built the other one. Yeah. No, I know better than that.
Of course, my bike's twice as fast. Couldn't give him everything.
Yeah.
The one that got away, he couldn't get.
Doug, what year bike is this?
Well, it's a 36, 7, 8, 9, 42, and 8. As you can see, it's a rigid frame, which is a 36 frame, but it has the neck cut off and bearing races from a 48 put on it. So I could run the 47 forks that are extended 10 inches to give it the chopper rake. The engine cases are basically 46, 44. They were chosen out of a huge stack of Indians. I took apart 380 Indian motors, and out of all those motors I kept every trick, weird part there was and put them all together in one motor. Everything in the motor is different. It's got a magneto and an ignition. It's got a 37 dash. It's got Harley-Davidson handlebars out of 55 pan. 28-inch primary sprocket. As you can see, the chain rubs right on the frame. Couldn't gear it any higher. Oh, the spark plugs. You ask, what are they for? Well, the magneto in front of the motor, if it's idling, the spark has to do something. Well, it tries to eat its way through the cap and ruins the mag cap. So I put the spark plugs up there so that it would have something to do and it wouldn't ruin the cap. And it kind of worked as an audio video tachometer. It makes a nice blue arc at about 100 between the two spark plugs. Although one hazard was putting gas in it while it was running. I forgot one day and started filling up with gas and poof. That's the burn marks on the tank that's on Steve's bike. Probably couldn't be duplicated anymore. You wouldn't want to tear apart that many motorcycles to get the parts. It was real fast for his day. Never really lost any races to anybody. But it's on retirement.